we're going to do a bit of a something a little bit different. We're going to do a full lineup review of the track. Basically, their full lineup. So I knew that my guest tonight, Dan's Whiskey Reviews, he was nice enough to join me. He did a review not long ago, and well, who better to have come in tonight who already has tried a lot of this stuff. We'll kind of Dan, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I am back, kind of, sort of. So
good. I know you've taken a little hiatus, and you're hopefully slowing down with the work stuff and all of that. So that would be that'd be good. So anyway, we'll run through, maybe take a little bit of time just to go through each one of the samples that were provided to me tonight, and we'll kind of give our thoughts and the taste and all of that, and then hopefully if we kind of get through some of these things, we'll do a little bit of a giveaway, and kind of what my plan to do was tonight. If you enter super chat, you will be entered to win basically all 5. So if you super chat anything in, I'll give you a number that will correspond to your name, and then we'll connect after the live stream, and we'll figure out whoever like a number randomizer or something, and then whoever ultimately ends will get all 5 of the bottles that I've got in front of me, and they're all 200, so they're all good size, and I've barely had anything from any of them. So why don't we kind of get going here? And again, I'll if you have some comments or questions, something good or a good question, I'll go ahead and highlight it. So let's kind of get into some things. But before we do that, let's see who we've got in the chat so far. So all right, I'm assuming that's Neil from the Bourbon Buddies. Hey, guys. Who else do we have? I think I'll have to refresh this thing. Richie, hey, Richie.
yeah, see,
Brent from the Oak and Smoke.
Brent from Oak and Smoke.
Yep, Brent from Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews. So, all right, good. So why don't we go ahead pretty soon? Now, Dan, you do have a little bit of the straight rye, you said.
Well, I have 4 of the 5. I don't have the straight bourbon whiskey. I have all the others, though.
Okay. We'll start out with that one. We'll get that one kind of out of the way, and we'll kind of go from there. And I'll monitor the a little bit, and I guess let me know what everybody else is sipping on tonight. So,
yeah, Pressman is in the house.
Pressman, how's it going, buddy? Thanks tonight. So, all right, so let's go ahead. I'll get into the straight rye whiskey. A little bit of information on this one right away. So this is going to be a 90 proof straight their own stuff. I don't believe they're sourcing any of this. So this is all their again, 90 proof mash bill. There is no real mash bill that they disclose. It's a standard and malted barley. So we know, with it being a straight rye whiskey, that it's a minimum of. We'll give you a little idea of what it is, and I guess let me know in the chat if any of you guys have any experience with the Travis lineup at all. So I'm always interested to hear if anybody else has tried any of this. So, all right. So right away, you actually get a nice little spice to it. Very soft, like a floral kind of note to it. Some citrus that's there for sure. A little bit of barrel influence, but really a rose. You're not getting, with it even being 2 years old. It's got a nice color. Anybody can see that or not, but
That was one of the things that I noticed too, Scott, when I had reviewed some of these guys was the color on them. They all actually have a really nice color to them.
Well, kind of noticed with some of this stuff as well is the color for some of it being, it really did have a nice color. And as I kind of move it around in the glass a little bit, it's really way more oily than I would have anticipated. Not only for a 90 proof, I'm assuming there's probably some chill filtration on this. Not many 90 proof on chill filtered, so I'm assuming there's some chill filtration into it. But aside from that, really nice legs on this. So all right, let's give this one a try. Cheers, everyone. Boy, so right away, for a 90 proof bourbon, you get hit with a really fair amount of spice, like a nice rye spice or a baking spice on this one. And that citrus really heavy, like more of a green citrus type of thing. And I know I've described this before, and I lump it in a lot of times with citrus, is I follow up with like green apple. And again, I know it's not a citrus, but there's a nice green, like green apple note to it as well. Really nice. And I'm surprised at 90 proof, the amount of oil that's really got a nice to it. Yeah. Dan, do you recall what the had been for something like this?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Do you recall or do you remember what the MSRP for like their rye whiskey was?
I want to say it was 60, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? All right. I'll double check, and I'll leave in the description below once the live. I'll leave a little bit. That may have been from barrel proof. Yeah, and I'll leave something. I'll leave it linked below as to what the MSRP on some of these things. So, but all right, let's see. Little bit of cinnamon there.
Yeah, like I said, I really remember the straight bourbon whiskey being really nice. Like I said, that was the first bottle that I finished out of all of them. But yeah, I do remember it having a really nice mouthfeel. A lot of different flavors going on there for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing I don't think gets taught far enough with just whiskey in general, whether it's through reviews or whatever, is mouthfeel of something. For me, it's like important is not only just the flavor and the nose, but that mouthfeel and kind of what it's doing by leaving, if it's a little more things along those lines, it's helping to coat the palate better and really just kind of leave better profile, things like that. So.
Well, it's nice to have those Christopher David that are not only very flavorful, but if they're very viscous and oily, they just leave that nice flavor on your palate. You don't have to keep going back and sipping, just to try to get that. So it's nice to have those nice oily ones every now and again.
Yeah. And this is definitely that. So, I mean, this is a really nice, straight bourbon. Again, they're the ones producing it. I don't think they're sourcing anything. Again, I'll verify it, but I believe their own juice. So
I am 99.9% certain it is their own stuff too. So
yeah, and the one thing with us tasting a lot that we do with the reviews and all of that, with things that are generally really young, in a lot of these whiskeys, and really for this. I'm not a lot of that youth on it really at all. So, it's really a nice straight rye whiskey. So let's see. So this is the one we're talking about in case anybody was interested. So, all right, let me take a little sip of water here. All right, what's everybody else sipping on tonight? I know I asked that before, and I don't know if I got many people. All right, okay. Maybe Neil might be sipping on a Knob Creek store pick, or maybe.
That's what it looks like.
All right, why don't we move? Yeah, do you want to? Do you want to move up to the rye? You got the rye, correct?
I do. I do have the rye.
All right, let's fire away. I'll let you give your.
Yeah, I mean, again, on the nose, I'm picking up. I do pick up a little bit of that dill on this one. To me, on the nose, I do get a little bit of that young smell. But there's also, I get some nice fruits, citrus fruits on the nose. And like I said, that you get a little bit of that vanilla in there, but those nice like citrus notes are kind of what overpower on this one.
Yeah, I agree. Like your initial like kind of nosing it's not overwhelming, because sometimes with ryes they can on the dill or maybe the mint side of things. This is a little bit of that kind of light. There's maybe a little underlying mint that's there, to it. Maybe even a bit of like a piney note. Do you get any kind of like pine, like a little bit of a?
Well, actually, you're kind of saying mint a little bit, and that's kind of geared me towards that a little bit. It's very, very, very mild.
Yeah. There's maybe a little bit there, but a nice like vanilla that's there on it.
Yeah. And like I said, the citrus is kind of.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some citrus that's there, and I guess those ones that I would say if it could smell creamy, it smells like it would be creamy. Yeah, it's really a really nice nose. It's just a really good, straightforward nose. So, all right. More importantly, let's give this one a try. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, for being 2 years old, I personally think they've done a fantastic job with this one. I'd say, give this thing another 2 years, and I think they knock it out of the park with this rye here. Again, I mean, my notes, I get that those citrus notes completely rub off on the palate. It's one of my favorite things to pick up on a rye or a bourbon is citrus. It sits right on the side of my palate. But then, on the palate, that you still get the caramel and the vanillas, but not so much the dill portion of it. I think that was more on the nose for me. But that citrus to me on the palate is what won this one for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of citrus, and it's got a really, really strong finish to it. It really sits right into the back of the palate, and it just really lingers, and it leaves that nice spice. Not nearly as much dill on the palate as I did on the nose, but really nice spice to it, and definitely some of that citrus note. And it is creamy, not very thin. There is some creaminess and some viscosity to it, and what this is coming in at 94 proof.
94 proof. Yeah, I mean, again, you get this thing. I would really love to try their stuff when it hits 4 years old, because I think when it does, I think they're going to knock it out of the park with this rye. I'm telling you, I think it's a home run, man. I really do.
It really is. This is just one of those that I would say is super easy to sit down with for a little while. It's not overpowering in terms of proof. I don't think it drinks, nearly like 94 proof. Again, that's not very high for, who are in here kind of in the chat right now, but for a lot of other 94 proof is still, a significant, amount of alcohol in a spirit. So, but absolutely,
for me,
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it could be because of the rye spice coming off on there, and maybe some of that citrus that's heavy. But to me, it almost drinks a little bit hotter than 94 proof. I'd almost put it up there at 100, 102, maybe. I mean, just from the feel of it. You don't get that burn of a high proof here, but it's definitely, to me, I think it's the spice that's in it, the rye spices and the citrus notes. It tastes like it drinks a little hotter than 94 proof. Like, again, maybe 100, 102 proof, right around that range.
Yeah, maybe, and I guess that's a fair statement. And maybe we're like a little bit warmed up from the standpoint of already trying, sip some other things, and maybe it's not as much of a shock to the whatever. But yeah, I guess I can see that. I just think it's a really, really full flavor rye whiskey. I think a lot of people who maybe think they're not rye whiskey people, they might really, really enjoy this, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Bourbon Buddies said that they love when they can see potential in a whiskey, and in my honest opinion, and I mean, again, at 2 years old, this is a really good rye whiskey, but you give this thing another 2 years in the barrel, and I think they hit a home run with it, to be honest.
Yeah, it is one of those. I would agree. It's one of those whiskeys that you can tell, and it's already good. That's the nice part about it. It's already good. And that's one thing with rye whiskey, is that it does tend to be a little bit more, let's say, mature or ready earlier on. But, like I guess even aside from that, it can go a lot of different ways. It doesn't mean, so I mean, whatever it is that they're doing something right, because it can go the opposite way as well. We've had, young ryes that are not very good as well. So, but again, like I said, Dan, they've done a really nice job with that rye.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and do you want to move on to the barrel proof?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And if I mentioned it before, if you guys if anybody hasn't subscribed to Dan's channel, go ahead and do so. He does a really, really nice job with a lot of his reviews, and he's got some interesting ones out there as well. I think a lot of people would be really interested to watch some of those. So make sure you check them out.
Appreciate that, Scott.
All right, thank you. John's in. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so why don't we go ahead and we'll move on to the barrel proof. Now, this is one that has really kind of garnered some like major attention recently. There's been a lot of, I guess I shouldn't say a lot, but there have been some groups that have done, I believe, like store picks or barrel picks with these guys, and they've raved about the barrel proof. So we'll find out tonight and see what it's all about. So I guess let me know in the comments, have any of you guys had any experience with the Traverse City barrel proof whiskey? So, all right. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, that's like a like deep, like dark fruit, like a cherry note. Really nice, like
a lot of characters on this one.
Nice barrel influence, or some good oak that's there.
Yeah.
Man, really nice, like rich vanilla there as well.
And I mean, I pick up a lot of baking spices on the nose too on this one. And these have actually had some time to open up in these little bottles here. So, going back and tasting that rye, it was definitely a little different from when I first poured it. So.
Yeah. And same here. I've probably had these open now for, I mean, probably all of 3 weeks or a month. So they've been given a little bit of an opportunity to, open up a little bit, which is important. And that's something that really needs to be, let's talk a little bit about that, like opening up like a whiskey. Like, what are some of your thoughts about, whether it's low proof, high proof, whatever it is, what are some of your thoughts on letting a whiskey just open up in general?
I mean, honestly, I think that's really how whiskey should be tasted. I mean, to be honest, is I mean, but I mean, with almost everything that I've tried, there's definitely a difference between a neck pour and a pour that's maybe had several weeks to a couple months to open up. I mean, there's such differences in that. It's really it's really amazing. But I honestly prefer to have something that's already been open for again a couple weeks all the way up to a couple months. That's just what I prefer. I think you get I think you get the true taste of what it can offer when you do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, and I've started doing this probably over the last maybe 6 to 9 months, is with whatever whiskey it is I'm going to review. I try to let the bottle, like as soon as I get it, I open it and I start to let some air get to it a little bit, and then hope to have at least maybe 2 or 3 weeks of airtime just to see what it does, rather than try to do like a neck pour review or something along those lines, which is fine. It just may give you, 2, 3, 4 weeks down the way, it may give you a different experience as to what it is you're nosing and tasting. So I've tried to let it maybe open up a little bit so that maybe it would give the impression of what your whiskey is truly going to be. Because once you open it and you get it beyond whatever, let's say a month, at that point, it really is kind of just opened up. It is what it is, and this is kind of what you're left with. So I think it gives you just a better idea of maybe what it is you're going to be tasting down the road, just to give it a little bit of time to open up. So,
well, I mean, some of the things that I've actually done with some of the whiskeys I really enjoyed when they do get to that level is, for instance, I had a Four Roses single barrel pick that was a Brent Elliott Select. And, I first tasted it. It was amazing. And when it got down a little ways, it got even better. So what I did is I went out and I bought several dozen of the 200 milliliter bottles. And when I found that these tasted just how I wanted them to taste, I poured the remainder of those bottles into the 200 milliliters all the way up to the neck. So no kind of air is gonna play with those at that point. So I have a lot of them saved up in one of my cabinets right now. So I do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's also a good way to experiment with, particular whiskeys. And I guess I would say it's maybe even more, applicable to higher proof whiskeys. I found that the higher the proof, the more time it generally needs to kind of open up a little bit, let it get some more air time, and just kind of see what it does. And then you can test it. Like your example of, pouring these in small bottles, you could probably even test it along the way and kind of see just how things are, nose it, taste it, take some notes, see how it changes. It's a good way to experiment with, your whiskey, just to see kind of what it is that you like in things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there have been some bottles where they open up and it just doesn't taste anything like it tasted before. And at that point, you just try to finish it off and move on to the next bottle. So you live and you learn by some of them,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're kind of giving a lot of praise to letting things open up, but there are times where it doesn't get better. So don't always assume that, you're going to let it open up and it's just going to naturally get better. There are times where some airtime or a little bit too much, can definitely, cause it to, I don't want to say go flat, but the flavor profile become a little bit more muted. So
absolutely agree.
But boy, this barrel proof, this is like going back to this. I would agree. From the time I first opened it up, probably that same night, started kind of nosing some of these things to now, it's drastically changed. I would say not only it's just with all of them so far, I would say the common, I guess the common thing I would like to describe is that it's much more refined. It's really done well with a little bit of time. So
absolutely. Right. I mean, this is another great. I think again with their future barrel proof options, I think going down the road, this is going to be something that's going to be a staple for them for sure. So.
No doubt, no doubt. I think they've kind of hit. I mean, really, so far, I'm very, very happy with what it is that we've tasted so far, and just being, pleasantly surprised in how they are and kind of how they've opened up a little bit. So, some really good stuff. So, all right, let me check the chat here. We'll see who else is in. I know Jason from the Mash and Drum popped in. Hey, buddy, how's it going? What else?
Everybody made a good point too. He said it's crazy how the bottle changes whiskey for the good and bad. He said he left a Glencairn of whiskey out overnight, and wow. So yeah, I mean, very, very true. It's crazy how it can change everything.
It really is. I mean, there's so many of these things in terms of how whiskey is affected by a little bit of airtime. It's crazy what will happen. I mean, I really encourage, I think before you try really anything, I'd say just open up the bottle and, as bad as it sounds, let it sit for a couple days. Let it do something. I know everybody really wants to get, added a lot of times, but man, it's just crazy what a little bit of airtime do. So
Swami's in the house.
We got, all right. Classic Swami here. Sup, Dirty Dan and Scotty. So hey, he's actually keeping it kind of clean tonight. So all right, good for you there, Swam. All right, what is let's see, what do we have from John before? What did he say here? I've had the whiskey taste amazing when the bottles were cracked and then turned terrible within a couple of weeks. So yeah, like you're saying before, that is the case. It's not always where they get better. My experience is that most of the time, especially with some higher proof whiskeys, a little bit of airtime does it some good. So, but not always. So, all right, what else do we have here? So Tech 187, thanks for joining. Obviously, we got somebody else. What is Brent saying here? For the 3 years going around 70. Oh, so okay, so he's got, I don't know if he's referring to, all right, I'm not sure what Brent is referring to.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
All right. All right. Well, all right. Let's get back into the. We'll get back into the barrel proof. I think we need to give this a little bit more time. So, all right, we'll give this one a try. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a richness to that. That's, I mean, you get a little bit of everything in this one here. I mean, those baking spices.
It's a lot of spice, that's there. A lot of cherry. I get a lot of cherry on this one.
Yeah, you do tend to pick up some of the darker fruit in there, and
definitely some of the fruits.
A little bit of burnt sugars. Yeah,
for sure. And it's and there's even a bit of and I don't know if you're getting this or not, but there's a bit of like an effervescence, like right on the mid palate. There's this like a tingly feel almost, but a really, really nice rich cherry.
Yeah, I mean, this one just kind of covers, and I think when I talked about this in my my review, there were so many different flavors that popped off on this thing. So you get everything from the baking spices to the, there's a little bit of citrus in it, not as much as the rye, of course, but you still get some of those other citrusy fruits in there, and you get the darker fruits, those cherry notes, and yeah, I mean, this one again, I think going forward, their barrel proof is going to be a hit as well. So.
Yeah, really, really good. So, all right, let's see who else is in here. I know I said before Swami, Tech 187, Jeffrey Wack. How's it going, Jeffrey? Yeah, good group of people in here tonight. So, yeah, and I know, Richie mentioned before that on his barrel proof that he had, that it's 118 proof and lots of citrus. Now, I guess on this one, I don't know if I guess you can tell me, but I'm not getting a lot of citrus, more dark fruit and like more of those kind of richer type of things on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I got very little citrus notes on this one. Again, I don't remember my exact review from when I did it, but it's not, you're not getting the citrus notes like you were getting on the straight bourbon whiskey or the rye, but they're still present. It's just not, it's not dominant like these dark flavors are, and spices, you know, some of that oak flavor in there too.
Yeah, really nice, a really nice oak. Definitely not over oak, but I would say you'd have to enjoy a little bit of oak to like this one. I think there's a little bit of oak that's there, but again, you know, a lot of times these ones that are barrel proof like this, you're going to get some oak presence to it. You're not going to really get around that. So it's just the way it is. You got to like
a nice color to it too. I mean,
really nice color to it. So, I mean, as you guys can see, it's pretty dark. I don't know an age on this one.
It says for more than 40 years.
Oh yeah, on the back of the bottle, yeah, age more than 4 years. So that's a heck of a product at, let's just call it 4 years. If this is just over 4 years, I mean, it's a heck of a product already at 4 years. I mean, this thing I guess I don't even want to necessarily say more age is going to improve. It's already really, really good.
Yeah. Again, I I said, going forward, their barrel proofs are gonna, they're gonna be a staple for them. I mean, it's great, and this is the only one I've ever had, just because I can't find any around here. But
yeah,
fantastic stuff at 4 years old.
Yeah. Now I've started seeing more of this in my area. Now we're a little closer to Michigan, so I mean I'm in Wisconsin, so we start to see a little bit more of it. And it started to, I don't know their full distribution. I'm assuming it's not, very wide, but I think people will be really, really pleased with when they start getting their hands on some of these whiskeys. So Jeffrey Wack asked before, GP, or is this all Traverse City juice? And we believe it is all of city stuff. I don't think they're sourcing any of their stuff. And again, I'll verify that, but we think that this is all their own juice. So
yeah,
proof is really, really good. All three different, but very good in their own right. I mean, I would say they're all worthy of buying. I think all of them are really, really nice pours, great flavor. They offer. I know sometimes people are a little bit leery of some of the crap. I'll tell you what, I mean, don't hesitate. And I think Dan would maybe agree with me on this, that really offering a really good value. I guess don't assume that since it's a craft distiller that you're going to get all those youthful. These really, really are nice whiskeys. So
absolutely, I agree 100%.
All right, and what did we have from? So enjoying this. Thanks for joining. He says, I was at the distillery this summer. Great stuff. Oh, all right. So that's interesting. So so if Enrico Juan is correct, he's saying that this is all sourced except the rye. That's interesting. That changes a little bit of what we were talking about. I thought that this was all of their own stuff, but if Enrico is, I guess I stand corrected from that standpoint, that they were producing really all of their own stuff. And on the back of these bottles, well, all right. So here's what I have, Dan, and you tell me on that. So on the back of the straight bourbon whiskey, Traverse City Whiskey Company, this says produced and bottled by Traverse City Whiskey Company, Traverse City, Wisconsin. Or to me, that's saying that they're producing their own stuff. It's produced in, let's say, Indiana or another state.
It would say that.
Unless they're, I mean, the only other thing that it could be would be if it's saying produced and bottled. No, because if it's saying produced and bottled by, that's both. That's them producing stuff. Yeah, and on that order, produced and bottled by Traverse City Whiskey Company. I don't know if any of this is sourced or not. So far, giving the indication that these are all, this is all produced by Traverse City.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it says on the back.
I'll verify that. Yeah, I mean, on the back of the bottle, it says produced and sold by Traverse City Whiskey Company. So I'm going to go with right now the fact that that this is produced by them, because if it, it wouldn't say that bottle if they weren't producing. It would be a production state or and bottled by. So you'd have more than likely two different names on production company and a bottled by company. So, all right, what's Jeffrey said? New Rep used OKI as the transition brand. Traverse City used similar labels on their own, and they're sourced. Harder to have that brand distinction. So that's true. I mean, it's one of those tough questions to ask. Whether or not you want to source stuff early on while you're producing your own things, and produce your own stuff or whatever it may be. So Enrico, so he's like, I know. I hope she, regardless, it's great. Yeah, it is. It is really, really good juice. So I'm hoping she was rolling out all of that, but it sure seems like that they're producing their own stuff. So, all right, what's Richie say? So with that being said, so I actually tried to get somebody in, but there wasn't anybody available to join in at the time. So hopefully they'll be able to see this, and if they want to leave a comment, they'll, whether or not they're sourcing anything or if they're going to be a distiller producer of their own. I'll verify that. So, all right. So I don't know if I'm buffering quite a bit. I know Swami says that, but I don't know if that's just because his dial up in Montreal could be that. But I apologize. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that. So. Yeah, I don't know. So John, sorry about that. I don't know why it would be buffering. I've got on my end, so I apologize. I'm not sure why it would be buffering. All right, why don't we do we want to move on to the fourth one in the line, the port finish right now?
We're finished. Yep, let's do it.
So this is going to be their straight bourbon, or their straight bourbon whiskey. That's it's coming in at 43% ABV or 86 proof. So again, their straight bourbon whiskey that's finished in port barrels. And I didn't see anything that was indicating as to finished in the port barrels. Did you ever get any?
I did not actually. I did not get that information.
All right.
But I tell you, it's I mean, you definitely pick up.
All right, let's get into
those darker fruits for sure. I mean, right away. I mean, there's that port makes its presence known right on the nose.
You know, this is one of those whiskeys that like right away that it's more the strong, sweet, like nose.
Yeah.
And it's very dominant. So I mean, it's very port forward. So if for some you are looking for something that's a very port finish type of whiskey, then give this one a try. On the nose, it's very port heavy. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, raisins, dates.
It's all of that. It's very. Yeah. You kind of hit the nail on the head. It's very like raisin and dates. Those really like kind of type of red fruits or dark fruits. All right, let's give this one a try. Cheers.
Cheers. What I liked about this one was, I know in the whiskey world it's not right to be smooth, but this is a very smooth. It goes down so easy, but yet it sits on top of the palate, and you get those dark fruits, those caramels that just sit. I get a little bit of nutmeg on this one, that just sit right there on the palate.
These I would describe as like a very like fall, like a very of whiskey. It's got a lot of that, like you just described, that just nice. It's very desserty. It would be a nice after dinner type of pour if you're looking for something.
Yeah, I mean, little to no burn. Again, smooth going down, but even after I took that last sip, I mean, I still get all those flavors that are just sitting right on the palate right there.
Yeah, it sits like really heavy for me, like right on that mid palate.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, very dark fruit forward. So. Boy,
but again, too, it's you get some of those baking spices that come in there too with that port. I said there's a little bit of some cinnamon going through there. It's really nice though. I mean, again, it's just, after you sip it, the flavors just kind of sit right there and just mingle. Right on the palate. It's nice.
Yeah, it really does. It really some dryness to it, a little bit of dryness and everything there as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting out with they're already starting. Yeah, not overly dry by dryness, but they're already starting out with a decent product. They're starting out with bourbon whiskey and finishing these port barrels. I mean, it seems like based on the color and the flavor profile that it's sitting there quite a while. I mean, it picked up a lot of that color. Again, we don't know like how wet the barrels are or whatever it is that they're, and the whiskey into or whatever it may be, but it's got a really, really nice profile to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those ones where the port is very, very dominant. It's very present. And again, I mean, it makes itself known just right on the nose. I mean, as soon as you open the bottle up, you can smell it. So,
yeah, it is one of those. I mean, as I kind of poured them, I mean, it was really dominant. I mean, it kind of overtook a lot of there, maybe outside of the cherry, which we have last. But Brent was asking what 6 proof on this one.
that's why I said. I mean, there's little to no burn with this one, but I mean that port, those dark fruit flavors with a little bit of baking spices kind of just sit right there on the palate. And I mean, like you said, Scott, this is a great after dinner dram here. So.
Yeah, really, really nice from that standpoint. This would be one of those, if you're a cigar, this would be one of those whiskeys that would be interesting to pair with a cigar. Only from both can be a little bit dominant at times, and it would be a really kind of an interesting to see maybe how some of these would kind of match up. I wish I had some of these in build by me, but it'd be a really interesting one. So anyway, so that's Traverse City Whiskey Company, pork barrel finished, straight rye or straight bourbon whiskey one. So
I know.
All right, so
the bourbon buddies said that they're really starting to dig the bourbon rye finished in wine casks. I would recommend if you ever get a chance to try it, try Boondocks. If you ever get a chance to find that, the bourbon buddies, give that one a shot. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's I've seen some of that stuff around a little bit, but haven't tried any of it. So
yeah, the port
and that's become a real
pretty.
Yeah, as we're all kind of aware of, there's a lot of finishing aspects going on in the world of bourbon. I mean, honestly, it's about one of the only ways that you can, change a bit of the profile of a bourbon. So many of them have the standard style, kind of profiles or whatever, but there's something a little bit different and kind of messing around with that a little bit is in the world of bourbon. It really offers just a different profile, of course, something that's, I know there's purists out there who will not want to see bourbon on a label. But I mean, I really don't care about any of that. I mean, I care more about what the profile, if I like it or not. So whatever it says on the bottle, it says. So let's see if I have anything else in here. Yeah. Okay. So here's one of the other things. So the Bourbon Buddies, they had mentioned the dovetail from barrel. That was another very interesting finished, fantastic job with that. Very, very unique and a really, really solid spirit whiskey, really whatever you want to call it. So
that was right. An awesome work.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, when I tasted it, it was kind of amazing. I wasn't expecting that at all. So, but again, the Traverse City, I mean, so far I've been really, really, and they all offer something different. I mean, obviously they're all different, but I think what we've had, they offer a little bit of something like in each category, within this. So, very, very interesting stuff. So hopefully everybody gives them a look. I think they're worth it for sure.
Yep.
All right. So do we want to move on to the fifth and final one?
Let's do it.
All right. So we've got something that's a little bit interesting here. This is one thing with Michigan. They're really known, especially Traverse City. They're really known for cherries and just everything kind of so every year they've got a big kind of like a cherry. It's just one of those big touristy type of areas, but they grow. They're known for it, so they produce a lot of different things. And this is just falling within their category. So what this is going to be what they're calling their American Cherry Edition. So this is fused with Traverse City cherries and natural flavors. Start out with a whiskey base, and then by the time you add some cherries and natural flavors, you're getting essentially just a cherry flavored, spirit or whatever it is you want to call it. All right, let's just check in the chat here. See what else we've got. Yes. All right, so we'll get into this one. We'll see what we've got here. So, all right, I'm on to the channel. So, see what we've got here. Yeah, it's cherry in your face. There's no getting around it. I mean, it's cherry. It's however you want to describe that cherry note or whatever. It's all of that. I don't know. Do you have anything else besides cherry?
No, I mean, again, it's very, very sweet on the nose. Very, very sweet. It's a cherry candy sweetness that you get. That's really all that I can get. I mean, it's not like the port finish. I mean, don't get me wrong. The port finish is very, very dominant nose, but this one is very, very dominant. I mean, that's all you're getting there is that cherry. So
I guess the one thing I would say about this is not overly medicinal, though. It's more of a quality cherry type of note. It's not that like super fake like cherry that you get. It is more of a quality type of cherry note to it. So
it's very, very dark.
I mean, it is. I mean, they're probably adding. It's infused. So I mean, they could be adding a lot of different things to it. So I don't really know what else to say. But all right, let's give this one a try.
Cheers. Yeah. Very cherry.
Now here's one thing I would say. I mean, I think a lot of us aren't always fans of flavored whiskey or whatever it may be, and this has its own people that they're targeting with it that want something sweet. And again, this could be very Irish type of drink or pour, but for me, it's not nearly as cherry on the palate as it is on the nose. It was way more cherry on the nose than it was on the palate. Now, don't get me wrong. There's cherry. You're going to get that, but it's way less medicinal than, as far as anything infused or cherry flavor. It's actually really, really nice, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things that you can honestly do with this to kind of play around with the flavor. I mean, if you wanted to throw this in some kind of a little bit in some lemonade, or even throw a couple ice cubes, pour this on the rocks or something. It's something I think you could really enjoy. Again, this is another one that kind of goes with the port finish, like you were saying. This is kind of like an after dinner type of dram here. So
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that
I
at
actually
all. I
think
mean,
it'd
it's
be
one of
really good
those.
with lemonade.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, this is something that's got enough of a flavor backbone for things with this for sure.
Yeah.
It's still got a pretty good proof to it. I mean, 37% ABV. What's that? 74 proof. That's good.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to mix this with like a lemonade, you're giving yourself a pretty hefty lemonade.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think it would be a very good. So, but very good, very good. Yeah, just different. I mean, it's just one of these last two are not trying to compete at all. They've got their own market, their own target audience for these things. Are what they are. I mean, I know Traverse City is putting out the cherry, infused whiskey. It's part of their market. People want that stuff there. It's a huge tourist area. People coming in and out, want a lot of that stuff. So I get, why they're doing things like that. So, all right, what else we got here? So, Whiskey Friend, hey, how's it going? What does he say? Bourbon Buddies just recorded a couple of the whiskeys tonight for the side-by-side pod. All right. What does Richie say here? 3 favorite palate notes in any given whiskey. All right, let's kind of put
Oh man, well, I mean, for number one is any kind of citrus. Citrus is my number one overall thing on a palate for me. That's something that I can pick out of almost any bourbon or rye that I've ever tasted. Is that citrus when it hits the side of my tongue? I know. The second I would say would probably be probably along the lines of a nutmeg, a nice cinnamon, like a cinnamon character, which you do get in a lot of whiskeys, but there's been some that have been a little more dominant than others. You look at a lot of like wild turkey products. I do get a lot of those spices, those baking spices, cinnamons, nutmegs in a lot of wild turkey products, including the turkey 101 and all that, even some of the older turkeys. And lastly, I would honestly say probably oak. I think getting some of the nice oak tannins that you pick up in some of these, not the overly dominant oak. That I kind of steer away from that a little bit. But when you can pick up a nice char or some of those nice oak tannins, I think that kind of hits the spot. So if I could find something that had some beautiful oak tannins in it with citrus notes and a lot of cinnamon spices, I'd probably buy that bottle for the rest of my life.
And it's funny that you said that, like, because to me that describes a lot of what I pick up a lot of times with like Four Roses in general. Some good oak, some of that more that floral or citrusy type, with some nice spice to it. And and a lot of times they're, so I mean that's one of the things that I really like too. And here's one other thing I would say, and I've said this a lot in a lot more of my like recent reviews, is that I appreciate when some of these companies produce a whiskey that's non-chill, proofing it way down. If you can get hit with whatever it is out there and it's just in your face, and you decide how to cut it or add a ice cube or a couple drops of water, but with those kind of higher proof, non-chill filtered, bourbons or whiskeys, just offer so much like value,
Yeah, I mean, going back to the notes too. I mean, there's there's a lot of different, I mean, and following up with the top three, I mean, there's some, I do like a little bit of pepper in some of my stuff, and not too much. I don't like overly, peppered bourbons or ryes, but yeah, and then I'd probably go with some of the dark fruits, some of the plum and those raisin notes, dates, stuff like that. That'd probably be my top five right there. So black licorice,
and I don't think you can
black licorice.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't seem to pick up very, very often. I'm not a huge fan of that. To me, when I've tried it in the past, it comes across like bitter to me. So I'm glad I don't get that black licorice flavor profile. So anyway, all right. So we're at about the.
Sometimes a little bit of oakiness trick me, but
yeah, and it's one of those things where you get. I mean, in a nutshell, that's the one nice thing about like whiskeys, bourbons is that subjective in terms of what we do. We all taste, taste things that are going to give as much as what it is we're nosing and tasting as we can from that standpoint. All right, so what's Jeffrey? He's asking something to you. Yeah, so this is something interesting. I've seen this pop up, and I'm not exactly sure that Balboa rye. Dan, are you familiar with what that is at all?
I'm not. I haven't. I haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah, it's something new from New Riff. I've seen this maybe over the course of maybe that they've released something called Balboa rye. Jeffrey, I don't know if you want to elaborate, what that is, or if it's a different, well, obviously it's a different, but I didn't know if that had like a different kind of profile or whatever it was. So, all right. So he's saying it's got some good citrus on it, Dan.
And that might be something I have to check out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So we're a little bit over the 1 hour mark. So for everybody for tuning in tonight, I greatly appreciate you taking your and spending it with us as we kind of ran through the Traverse City Whiskey Company lineup. And Dan, I'll let you say something after. But for me, I think with what they've on, this is going to be one of those companies that not only are they producing, I would say, a product right now, but some of these specifically, maybe the first three, their rye and their barrel proof, as these things begin to age a little bit, it'll be really interesting to see what happens to some of these products. They're already, and hopefully everybody will go out and maybe pick up a bottle or two. I have tried to give you guys a good idea of what some of the profile was with these, and I don't think you would be missed to spend a few on one of these bottles. I think you'll really appreciate it. So, Dan, do you want to say something?
Yeah, guys. Just wanted to apologize for taking the time off. I've been very busy with work right now, but hopefully we'll get back into the swing of things and get back into some of these reviews. But thank you, Scott, for having me on. Kind of breaking me back in. I was gonna change my channel's name to Rusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews, but I think we'll keep the name for now, and we'll see where we go from here. So thank you, Scotty.
You're welcome. Well, that's good. I'm glad I could be here to get you back into the swing of things. We don't want to see new Rusty. We want so. With that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight to the Whiskey Company. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and like I say, it's about the and not the destination. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.